Hey there, AJ. How's it going, man?
What's up, Kurt? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I know you're really busy today, but we're all really excited about the 2024 schedule coming out. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, man. We got to release our 2024 schedule right before the 2023 Tournament of Champions. It's kind of a strategic release for us to kind of have all eyes on this series and the anglers this week, but also get people looking forward to next year. There's a lot of folks that didn't get to make the TOC that are ready to get back and no better time now to let folks know when those opportunities are going to be present for next season.
Yeah, and man, let's just go down the list of them real quick, if you don't mind. I mean, we start off with Harris Chain of Lakes, which was a huge success last year, and it's just a phenomenal fishery, man. And it's one of the ones I'm looking forward to because it starts off the season super early. I mean, January. It's not a long break in there.
Yeah, we haven't ever started in January before, but it's taken us some years to get down into Florida for our series. Florida's always kind of presented some challenges because it's really just so far away for the vast majority of our anglers. But it's Florida, and it's like better than any other place in the country in January. Even if it's not great, it's still going to be better than wherever you came from. And the chance of a fish of a lifetime exists on every cast in Florida. They're way ahead in patterns and opportunities. And when Steve Owens and I worked together on trying to do the best we could to spread our schedules out. But kind of where it played out, we needed to get two events in before his first one for us to feel like we were gonna not be super pressed. I would rather press on our own schedule, strategically separated by the first two events by geography, than force our way into a time where it really just doesn't fit for the vast majority of anglers. So we went to Harris Chain last year. We had 155 anglers there. To my knowledge, it's one of the largest events ever in the state of Florida as far as kayak fishing goes, freshwater. And we were welcomed back with open arms for the folks at Lake County. They loved us. They loved that it worked out. And we kind of had a 2-year window with them, and they wanted us back and we wanted it back. So a few weeks earlier could change the pattern a little bit, which is what we always kind of hope, that things are a little different when we go back to a similar or the same place. So yeah, it should be a great way to get the season started. There isn't other events going on in Florida that time of year this year. So it should be a great opportunity for folks to get going early, get out of the cold, and go get some Florida bass and get some points early in the season.
So as an angler, I got to ask you: are the boundaries going to stay the same?
Yeah, probably for most of our fisheries. I'd say the boundaries and launches will be very similar for next season. We'll dive in on some of the details of rules and stuff like that once we wrap up this TOC. Is kind of our timeline for doing that. But we've got some notes and things that we want to adjust. But as far as boundaries go, we want the whole Harris chain to be available, and we want as many ramps as possible to be available.
So then round two is Sam Rayburn in February. About, was that 2 weeks later?
It's 2 weeks later. We have been trying to get into Sam Rayburn early season for years now. That is like the toughest ticket in tournament fishing, to get on Sam Rayburn in like early or anytime in February, really. That is like the month where you get like the 30 to 45-pound bags in the past, and they just every tournament series is dying to be there. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy fishing. It could be very difficult. It could be rough weather. Yeah, but
Very
you've
early
got
season cold fronts.
opportunity at some giant pre-spawn Texas largemouth bass. And it's just an opportunity. It's a different time. We've been there June in flooding conditions. We've been there in fall, lake drawdown conditions. We're going to head back in the spring and try to give Sam Rayburn, the pedestal that many folks put it up on. And it's because the bags that come out in February that you see Sam Rayburn on every list all the time.
And the next one, which I'm really looking forward to, is Logan Martin. And I have not fished down there yet, but I've just read so much good stuff about it. And the time of year we're hitting it, man. March, was it 9th and 10th?
Yeah. We'll go in March. It's Coosa River chain. We've done Neely Henry out of Gadsden. We've done, and had Weiss available as well. So we're going to move on down the river. That was kind of BASS's welcome to kayak fishing event. And they had great success. The fishing was awesome for many anglers. And it was that community had reached out to Hobie a little while ago, and they were kind of planning a couple of years down the road, and it ended up working out for us to squeeze in there in March. And I see a lot of comments about folks saying, "Oh, Alabama's got all these great fisheries," and I think the thing that people struggle with when they look at a schedule is that it doesn't always have to be the fishery that you think is best. It is about a challenge. It's about a different bite. It's about different opportunities. We've been to Gunnersville. We've been to Upper Coosa Chain. We've been to Eufaula. We've been to these places that have different size fish, different genetics, grass, rocks, current, all those things. We've never been to this particular lake. So, I think that it's fun to see the banter and people's opinions, especially for the folks that, don't come and fish the series anyways. But, when you look at any professional series, and I'm not calling this a professional series by any means, this is an open, and we welcome anybody into this, but they make a schedule that is strategic, but also can be challenging. And there's events that are going to have high catch rates. I fully anticipate our Logan Martin Lake and our Norman Lake to be extremely high catch rates. When you go into those spotted bass lakes, spring of the year, it's just like nonstop action. And, I'm going to have to hire extra judges those weekends. I'm anticipating on Tourney X being completely lit up with fish all weekend in both of those fisheries. And, we went heavy grass in 23, and now we got a couple spot lakes in 24. A schedule's supposed to have diversity. It's supposed to have variety. It's supposed to challenge an angler's strengths. And every angler has different strengths. And that's why we do best three of the series. Go to the ones that fit you the best, or the places that make the most sense for you, whether it's geographically or strategically. But Logan Martin's full of fish, good largemouth, a lot of spots. There's going to be a lot of fish caught, and there's a lot of different types of fishing within that system. So we're looking forward to our first visit to Logan Martin Lake.
And when you say spotted bass, these aren't like Ohio River spotted bass. We're talking Alabama giant spotted bass, potentially in those lakes.
For sure. The Coosa spot is very well publicized. Those fish are aggressive. They can get big, but there can also be a lot of them in medium size range too. Good limit fillers. So it just is a different type of fishing. But when you get to spring of the year, things are all going to be shallower than they are other times of year. So if shallow water is your thing, if maybe you don't feel super confident in spotted bass fishing, or you've never done it, you got two really good opportunities that are good timing, good lakes that can show you kind of what it's all about.
And as we were just saying, you said Lake Norman's coming up next, a personal favorite of mine. It's going to play in really good coming right off from Logan Martin, I think, just like you said, because they're both spotted bass lakes. Let's hear your take on that, man. I mean, that was a big event. I remember the first year we went there, and that was 2 years ago that we went there, and there was a lot of people that came.
Yeah, it was actually, it'll be 2020 that we were there. It was literally the weekend that, everything shut down,
Yeah.
for COVID. I mean, state of disaster while we were doing a captain's meeting, on Friday night. And we're just like, can we still fish? And we did. And then we figured it out from there. And so we've come full circle. We're back to Lake Norman, biggest lake in the state. It's got some big largemouth in it. We've seen them. We've seen clubs do it, but it is really known for the volume of fish. The spotted bass, it's a herring lake, so that impacts how the fish move and what they feed on. A lot of
God, they
dom.
get so aggressive with them. Those herring lakes are so aggressive. So
Yeah.
if you like that good bite, that good hammer strike, man, those are the legs.
So it'll be good, and that's it's also our closest event to our tournament of champions. So if you've kind of looked at the bottom of the schedule, we're going to Santee Cooper. We've been to Santee Cooper 2 years in a row now. In the spring, we're going to go back in a championship way in the fall. So if you're in that region, maybe you can't travel and fish the series, but you want to take one shot at it. That's going to be your one. Come swing on it. It's fun because we've got a couple anglers fishing in this TOC that all, punch their ticket in one shot at Santee Cooper this year. So the TOC is not just your, time in multiple events. We have anglers that show up and fish one event and get qualified and get to come fish for big checks at the end of the season. So it's definitely going to be something for those Carolina folks to come out if they want to be able to fish a championship close to home.
And round 5 is going to be Wright Patman Lake. I don't know anything about this lake. I've never really heard this lake, which is kind of exciting. It's something that's new, different. Tell us something about it.
Well, I know where it's located on a map. And it's a very strategically located area for us. We want to put a little more focus and effort into that Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas region. And this lake is within minutes of all of those borders, just inside Texas. The NFLPA has actually, one of the other professional boating series. They've actually run 2 tournaments on this lake. They've had pretty good numbers. My thing about this lake, and I've done a little bit of research on it and talked to some local anglers, is not a lot of people go bass fish it locally because they're in Texas. And they can be at Lake Fork in an hour. They can be at Caddo in an hour. They can be in all these places in less than an hour if they're in that region. So while that lake might be, middle of the road by Texas standards, you could put it in a variety of other states. It's going to be one of their best fisheries. And a lot of the Texas anglers don't really even go there. They don't know about it. Some of the most successful Texas anglers that fish kayak fishing, Matthew Scotch and Guillermo Gonzalez, they've never even been there. So, you want to talk about going to some place where it's anybody's game and you got to figure it out and you don't have history and you don't have a club tournament there 4 times a year, which all these other lakes have. You want to go in and just say, I can fish this lake. I can learn it just as good as they can in 3 days of practice or 4 days. That's the lake, and it's strategically located. It's right off the interstate. Texarkana reached out to us. They wanted us, and that's a lot, and so we wanted to give that region yeah, it would have been nice to have, another state represented, but, that didn't work out for us. So we got 2 events in Texas, but both events in Texas are very close to the state lines of their bordering states. And we expect to have a good turnout from our folks in Oklahoma and Arkansas and Louisiana. And hopefully, obviously Texas shows out. There was like 60 anglers from Texas out of the Sam Rayburn event, and that's in September. So, Texas has a great group of anglers and great waters. And I would love to be able to go to, prestigious and historic lakes for every event. But the reality is that's not how schedules go when you have requirements in a series. And, we want to go places that anglers want to go. But like I mentioned earlier, we also want to challenge anglers and provide new experiences. And I think Wright Patman really came in. They were eager to have us. Their first kayak tournament ever. I did some searching on some apps. I've not found one that was there, so I could be wrong, but I haven't found it. So maybe there were some parking lot derbies way back in the day, some SD card derbies. I don't know. But it's in the app day and age, I don't think anybody's been there. And there's a lot of stuff in Texarkana. I mean, there's some Whataburgers right there when you get in. So it's a place, I think it'll be fun to see. It'll be a new challenge. And it's Texas. There's some big fish in there. I mean, it's not uncommon 6, 7, 8 pounders out of that lake. Yeah, that might not be the regular, but like if you're catching 17, 18-inch fish, you're going to be in a spot to cash check. So, I see people want to bash it. But when you're fishing a tournament schedule, it isn't about what the lake is. It's about what you can do on the lake. And it's all about an opportunity to cash a check and challenge yourself, make yourself a better angler. And go into a new fishery can showcase that better than anywhere else.
And I like going to new waters. A lot of people like going to new waters and seeing something a little different because if you've been fishing tournaments for a while, you've all fished the same lakes. Let's move on to Cuyahoga Lake. Now we're massive transition. We're going from Texas to New York. So it's a pretty big geographical change there.
Yeah, putting the miles on the old GMC truck for me there. But, that's about as late in the spring as we would prefer to go to Texas. It can start getting kind of hot and the fish can do some different things. I know those Texas anglers, they fish year round and then they should. But we start really opening up the opportunities for our northern lakes to really showcase themselves. And Cayuga did awesome last year for our event, but everyone said we were a little late, and we'd been to that part of the country that same weekend. That was our 3rd year in a row. So it was kind of solidified as our northern swing weekend. Everybody said, come back earlier, come back earlier. I was like, when? And they're like, late April, early May. And I'm just like, no. Y'all are crazy. I know what the weather is looking like up there. But like the bite's amazing. I was like, I bet it is. But so June, early June, I think is like the good mix of it all. And if you watch the MLF guys up there before we got there this past year, it was a little earlier in June and they were fishing really shallow for giant smallmouth bass. So it could be a different bite. It was very largemouth in the grass for us last year. I think this year is going to be a little bit more smallmouth bedding and shallow. Chance at a giant smallmouth bass early June on Lake Cayuga. And that's part of a 2-year deal. Those folks loved us. It was our biggest event in the area in 3 years. I think we were going to build off that momentum and, put our anglers on an opportunity to have an incredible fishery, great fishing time. Pre-spawn for largemouth might be right in the middle or a little kind of maybe pre-spawn also for smallmouth, depending on the weather this year. It could really just be a special time up in the Finger Lakes region of New York.
I'm excited about it. I mean, it's just if you've never been fishing in New York, it's something to go do. And this one, and that one in particular, is a great lake to go to. And round 7 is going to be Saginaw River and Bay, which I find really interesting because there were a lot of rumors flowing around Ohio about what you were going to do in this region of the country. And not that this is in Ohio necessarily, but let's hear your take on Saginaw River and Bay.
Yeah, I mean, when we want to pursue new fisheries in new regions, we cast a pretty big net. I want to see what's out there, what's opportunities for us. And, some of those things just don't pan out. I talked to some good tournament directors in Ohio and folks in Michigan, and really, some of that stuff works out and some of it kind of runs into a dead end for us because the things that local clubs need to run an event are drastically different than what we need to run an event. And sometimes the connections aren't there. And, sometimes those guys are just busy and you just don't end up hearing back from them. So it's just one of those things that, we were pursuing some options. But we wanted to kind of be in that Great Lakes region, but also in that, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan kind of corridor. And, the native tournament was on Saginaw last year. And I think that was the first kind of national, kayak tournament that had been there successfully. And, there's a different format and it's a really cool structure, but we wanted to have opportunity to put a more traditional 2-day tournament out there. And, that time of year, there's good times and bad times. There's good times and better times. But in the middle of the summer in Michigan and in that bay, when it's hot everywhere else, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. And the river runs right through Bay City there. And the local chamber folks were very eager about us wanting to allow the river to be in play as well for a variety of reasons. They said the fishing's good and it's underrated in the river, but it's also safe if you ever run into a really windy day out on the big water. And so knowing that we have a large area of more protected water and then also a large area of a Great Lake Bay means that there's a variety of opportunities for our anglers, no matter what the conditions are going to be. Largemouth, smallmouth, grass is going to be a factor. Current will be a factor in the river. It'll be one of those places that's new for our series, new for a lot of anglers, not new for the Michigan folks. But it's funny because a lot of the Michigan folks are like, finally, a place not named St. Clair hits a list. And so, St. Clair is great. We've been to St. Clair in our very first season of running events. And, it's a special fishery, but, we really wanted to kind of do something different, do something new. And we found a good partner in Bay City, Michigan. And there's just a lot of good stuff going on in Michigan. So if you've never been up there in August or the summer, you definitely want to go visit Michigan. It is one of my favorite places to be during certain times of the year. So we hope we have a great attendance in Michigan for that event.
Yeah, the weather should be spectacular for it that time of year. It really should be. Round 8 is going to be a lake that everyone's heard of, Lake Chickamauga in Dayton, Tennessee. And it almost needs no introduction because it's seen so many big tournaments from Hobie to just everybody. Everybody's thrown a tournament there.
Yeah.
And let's hear a little bit about your take on it.
Yeah, this is our including TOC, it'll be our 4th event on this lake. It's very strategically located. It's debatably one of the best fisheries in Tennessee and debatably one of the best fisheries on the Tennessee River chain. But ultimately they're great partners for us. They want us back. Our anglers show up well. They take care of themselves. They take care of the community when they're here. It's a very good relationship. And we always try to go back to a place, a different time than we've been there before. And I don't know of too many national events that have come into Lake Chickamauga in September. It's right before the drawdown. Grass is super thick, super matted up. The water's warm. So what those bass are doing. And it's for throwing a frog, just fishing around grass, plastics in grass. I mean, it's going to be one of those type of events. And then obviously our anglers are going to catch them a variety of ways because, like we mentioned earlier, we've got a wide range of skill sets in kayak fishing and anglers fish their strengths. And when they do that, they do well. So, going out and frog fishing isn't something that I feel confident at. So I would find a different way to find the fish, on Chickamauga, that particular, time of year. It's different. It's also strategically located in the Southeast to get folks that want that last shot for the Tournament of Champions qualifier to hopefully not have to drive as far. We'll probably always have one or two events on the Tennessee River each year. That location is just so accessible to a variety of regions in the country. And I mean, just like today in the TOC, we've got largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass, meanmouth, every size of all of those fish that you could imagine. And when you fish Chickamauga, I mean, you might not catch the giants. I mean, you could spend years out here and not catch a giant, but they live here. People catch them all the time. And you're fishing in a body of water where any cast could be a 23 or 24 incher. So we'll see what the big bass is for the TOC right now. But just because it's September doesn't mean that the chances of the big fish go down drastically. They're still there, and depend because it's later in the summer, and the grass is a very big player that time of year. They could be even shallower than they've been, the last couple months. So it'll be fun. It'll be a fun way to end it. New time of year for Lake Chickamauga. And I think we'll have good attendance because of where it is and when it is, and especially in relation to the TOC. One of the things I wanted to mention too, just to kind of recap the last three events. So we are taking July off this year. July is challenging with 4th of July, ICAST, other events that are scheduled. We are, to my knowledge, the only event in August on Saginaw River and Bay nationally. And then in September right now, we're also the only event scheduled in September nationally on Lake Chickamauga. So things get a little busy at the end of the year and the end of the fall. But it's nice to see all the schedules kind of spread out a little bit then, so folks can maybe say, all right, in July, I'm going to go to Susquehanna. August, I'm going to go to Saginaw. September, I'm going to go to Chickamauga. October, there's a couple championships, got Caddo and Bistineau with bass. And then those that have qualified, you've got your thing in November. So it's kind of nice that we can spread out a little bit more at the end of the year, because it's going to be a grind for some folks early on as they jump around. And it's a big reason why we wanted to go back to the best three of four, or I'm sorry, the best three instead of four for our, TOC qualifiers and Angler of the Year points.
Yeah, and ending with Chickamauga, just like you said, it being so centrally located to so many different people. I know even from Ohio, it's really not a bad drive to get down there and still be able to fish that day. So you don't lose a whole day just traveling. And the diversity. Like if you like to fish moving water, there's going to be moving water there. So everybody is going to have a chance at that last event, which I really like. Do you want to talk about the TOC a little bit?
Yeah, and the reason we don't have a date on there yet is because this year was the first year we went to a weekday TOC, and we're just kind of evaluating that and making sure that makes sense for our series. Anglers got to start practicing on Saturday. They practice Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, with tournament days on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We wanted to do that to reduce some of the pressure on the competition days. We also hope that our anglers felt comfortable staying Friday night and then traveling home Saturday so they can enjoy our year-end banquet where we, give away $100,000 in cash and prizes and feed everybody. And it's just something, I know you guys are always ready to go home. I'm always ready to go home too. Trust me. But it's something special about being there when your friends win a check, big check. I know I was right there cheering for you when you won your big check. And even if it was like, I don't know what time in the morning it was, but or next, I don't remember, but it's one of those things that like it can be almost as rewarding as winning yourself to be there and support the people that you enjoy in this sport. And I think COVID kind of pushed us out of that a little bit because we just discouraged gatherings, and that's not really what this sport was built on. And so there's a lot of value in coming back to the awards, capturing moments, pictures, videos, congratulating somebody that you look up to or that you fished with, and just being supportive. And we're hoping that you will have a good attendance at the awards banquet this Friday. And depending on how it goes and what it all looks like, we'll either be strategically over the weekend or strategically during the week for Santee Cooper. And, that's another fishery that we've been to, has giant fish, but sometimes they can be a little elusive. Sometimes the fish in general over there can be elusive. The TOC is supposed to be a challenge. It's not always going to be one of those bangers where, you're just catching 15, 20 fish every single day. It's a fall transition time of year. But when you can go to a lake that has the pedigree and the giant fish that Santee Cooper lakes are known for, and that's that's pretty awesome. You can make a big difference in your total on a lake like that really quick. And I think it's interesting that the elites love to go there, like Bassmaster elites. They love to go there, but there are guys that make the top 10 cut every year that don't catch 5 fish each day. It's like 14 or 13 because they got an 8-pounder in there. And that goes a long way when people are catching 2 and 3 pounders. So, correlate that to kayak fishing. We allow 12 inchers. Well, you can have 3 12 inchers in your limit, but you can also catch a 25, 26 incher. That's not unheard of there. So, that stuff can make up a difference really quick. It's really fun, but most importantly, it's Clarendon County. Those folks love kayak fishermen. They want us there. They had the option of an open or a championship with a follow-up open the year after, and they chose the championship. They wanted it. They said, you guys have been great. We love what you all do. We want your all's biggest event in your series on our lakes for 2024. And when you have those kind of partners and those kind of people that are willing to invest and support and understand that we have to do things to break up our schedule, but they also can still be a part of it, just by saying, hey, we'll do the championship. It goes a long way. Their team over there, Jesse and his folks, they love us and they love when we come. So it'll be exciting to have an exclusive group there and really roll out the red carpet, after fishing hours, but also to see what our anglers from all over the country do on Santee Cooper Lakes that time of year.
That's going to be exciting. It really is. Because like you said, one 24-inch fish can be such a game changer in a bag. So that's just going to really crack it wide open. Are you going to keep it at 60 anglers, you think?
Most likely. I think right now 60 is a good number for us. This is our first year moving from 50 to 60. So we'll play with 60 for a little while. The goal is not to just grow this thing as big as we can make it. We want it to be still the most exclusive championship in kayak fishing. But there are a lot of variables at play on that kind of stuff. And we have ideas on different things down the road, but I think we're really happy on it being 60 right now. And as far as like format stuff goes and kind of the layout for 2024, I won't get into any real details on that because, Steve Fields and I work really closely on that. And then we run everything by, our management, upper management at Hobie to make sure it aligns with, what they want as well. So I don't want to speak out on anything out of place and create any extra conversation because we'll put all that stuff out in due time. I do hope that most of that stuff's out, before December. I plan on opening registration up for the first 2 events, hopefully in December. No better Christmas gift than to get somebody a registration, entry fee for the first 2 events. So, and Florida's a good one too. Maybe the angler can offer the Florida trip as a Christmas present. Then they're down there fishing and their partners out, Disney Worlding or beaching or whatever folks want to do in Florida. It's all there and it's warm. So, we'll get all that out as quickly as we can. It's a busy week for us, the Tournament of Champions. We got a lot of stuff going on right afterwards. And, I'm going to take some days off. Probably go fishing. Folks don't know, I live really, really close to Lake Chickamauga. I've been on it 2 total times this year. And the last time I've been on it was August like first week of August or something like that. And it just started feeling like I was getting too close. I was like, I don't want to be out there too close to championship. Like I started saying that in September. So I was like, I don't want to be out there. I don't want to know. I don't want to know any of that. So I'm very not dialed in on this lake by any means. I've fished other lakes on the Tennessee chain way more than this one. But I'm going to try to squeeze out and get out there a little bit this late fall, and maybe catch some bass again. So I haven't been on the water at all since Labor Day, so it's just ready for some me time and some fishing time. But I'll still be working for you all. We'll get them some information out and get you guys ready for a big 2024 season.
That's some of the stuff that people don't realize, that tournament directors, they don't get to fish nearly as much as what people think they do. They think that they live and die out in the water. And it's just like, man, once you move to that, the fishing dries up because you're doing more organizing and working behind the scenes.
It does. And I don't know. I mean, I have two jobs with Hobie. One's a tournament director, and at times it's more than full-time job. And my other job is a sales rep in 7 states. And sometimes that's more than a full-time job. So it's a big balance. And I'm very thankful for it. And it's all Hobie related. So sometimes when I get a little free time, I just, the Hobie just doesn't get the love that particular day. I need to do something else. But I think, those folks that have known me for a while, been running events for 12 years now. Been competing a lot in the early years and then transitioned mostly to a tournament director. It does get harder and harder to do both. I pretty much don't anticipate fishing any tournaments in my future, maybe, but it doesn't hit the same once you're on the other side of it. And then you get people that just want to put all tournament directors into a category that we all know where your spots are and we're going to use them. And we go back and look at events 3 years ago and all that stuff. I don't have time to go fishing, and I dang sure don't have time to go back and look at your spots and then go fishing. And then, I got my own spots, I've done pretty good on some of these lakes over the years myself. So ultimately it's just hard to so many new anglers just don't, they don't trust the system sometimes. And, it's just easier to go fishing for enjoyment than the off chance that I would have success with all of the rust that's on me and my gear and all of that. I just don't want somebody to feel like they were taken advantage of by a tournament director or something. So it's just not, there's definitely a sacrifice there, especially on a national level. I'd love to fish the regional stuff that Steve Owens runs, the Tennessee Bass. Him and Daniel Davis put together an awesome schedule in Tennessee. And I've dabbled in a couple of those events over the past, but you just feel disconnected from, being an angler once you've been just such a committed tournament director for many years. So there's definitely a sacrifice there. And it's not just for all of us. It's not just, you judge fish during the day and then the next day you're on the water. It doesn't always play out that way.
Yeah. And we appreciate everything you do, man. You put in a lot of hard work over the years and building the kayak fishing scene just in general. And a lot of people really appreciate that, man. Hey, man, I'm not going to keep you any longer. I know you're really busy with the TOC and you're judging fish, and you got to do another live cast for the TOC, man. I really appreciate you, AJ. And one of the big thanks for Hobie for putting on this series. This is by far the premier kayak fishing series that we have, man. Thank you for putting it all together. And everyone else, Steve Fields and everyone in the whole makeup.
Man, I appreciate that, Kurt. When we first started this, it was really just creating something when there was a need for there to be, a series that was, kind of angler minded and, had some different opportunities out there. And, we've been doing it very similarly for 5 years now. So for some people, it almost feels kind of stale. But it's been just because it was so good at the start, and we've been consistent with that. We have amazing sponsors that give so many prizes away. We give prizes away at every event, like $3,000 to $5,000 worth of stuff at every event, which is just unheard of. We put so much money into the payouts, and then back into the TOC. $100,000 is going to get paid out this week between Angler of the Year and the TOC. So, while it seems like it is just maybe plateaued or stagnant for some, that doesn't mean that we've come down. We're still up there. We're still striving to provide the best opportunity that we can for kayak anglers. And we've got other good opportunities out there now. What Steve Owens and Bass are doing now, it feels new because Steve-O just put all this fresh Steve-O into it, and it's been really awesome, and we're all thankful for what they're doing for our sport. But I can assure you guys that no matter what goes on behind the scenes and what kind of chatter and who's number one and this and that, Steve-O and I are great friends. We're peers. We run ideas off of each other, and we work together for everybody in our sport. And everybody right now should be so thankful to have these two opportunities to compete out of a kayak that exists right now, at the high level. And, I want to give him a shout out and what he's doing, because you gave me a shout out, and, that's kind of what kayak angling's all about is, lifting each other up and helping out and, promoting those that deserve it. And, if you're looking to get into kayak tournaments, whether you're, you think you're ready or not at this high level, there's folks that win these big events every year that it's their very first one. And you cannot win your first one until you show up to one. So find one, do your studies, do some practice, and try it out. It's going to be a good time. You're going to learn a lot, and you might even win some money. And, you probably win some prizes or something too. So thanks for all the kind words, Kurt. Looking forward to seeing you at some events next year. Appreciate the showcase on the schedule, and look forward to seeing everybody next year.
Thanks, AJ.
Thanks, man.